Hey everybody, ThatDogCoda is here, and I have a special video for you today. We are going to be interviewing furries in the competitive gaming industry. And I got a special guest joining us today. It's none other than Luna, who is a FPS shooting virtual reality competitive gamer. Say hi, Luna.
Yo.
Now, to start things off, Luna, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have been playing shooters my entire life, and about 4 years ago, I got into VR. Shortly thereafter, I got into the whole VR esports thing. It was small enough so you didn't have to worry about the whole issues with the PC gaming where you have to get the popularity, the notoriety, so on and so forth. All you had to be good with the VR stuff, and it still is now, is simply be good and people will notice. Because the community is small enough, it's a little bit easier to do than the whole PC, so on and so forth.
So what I wanted to ask you, can you explain a little bit about the game that you can play competitively in? A little just bit about the game and what your role is? I like to know this game, Breacher, that you're playing. Yeah, tell me about Breachers.
Breachers is a 5v5 search and destroy game. If you're familiar with that concept, great, but if not, the objective is to get 7 points before the enemy team does on you. You can tie it 6-6, but the goal is to get 7 points before the enemy team. There are two teams, attackers and defenders. You swap at round half. So it goes to 7, you round swap at 6, at round 6. So to get points, the defenders must either let the timer, 3 minutes in this case, run down to 0, they win the round, or kill the entire enemy team, or defuse the bomb. Well, EMP on the game's case, but defuse the bomb. The attacker's job is to kill the enemy team before the time runs out, or plant the bomb before the time runs out. When the bomb is planted, don't let them defuse it before the bomb is defused. Or before time runs out on the bomb, rather. And that's how you gain a point. Right? You play for 6 rounds, whatever the result, 6-0, 5-1, 4-2, so on and so forth. Then you round swap, and you keep going, you get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, killing your enemy team, you have all sorts of weapons, all sorts of utility, all sorts of tools to get the job done, right? And then you just go in and you play, you shoot, that kind of deal, right? A lot of that stuff people don't think about, though. But going from there, my job, I am part of the leadership. It's almost decentralized, but not quite. It's a decentralized command between me and my captain, Blitz.
Okay, yeah.
So him and I both lead. Sometimes we swap back and forth. It really does depend on the occasion. It's very dynamic. But typically there's an IGL, and then you have the different roles in the team. But not all teams do this. Some teams that are just a bunch of friends playing the game just to have fun, right? They just kind of go in and have a good time. Because there are teams out there that do that, right? They might not necessarily reach top tier, oh my gosh, right? But that's not necessarily their goal. Their goal is to have a good time with the boys. But, you know.
Essentially, what Luna's saying, that it's not just pew pew. No, it's just
exactly.
Before you're saying that
I say it a lot in games.
No, but it's true. But it's fair. Like, it's games are not always just cut and dry, where it's just, yo, you shoot, you're done. Like, in every game, at least from my perspective as someone who doesn't play a lot of FPSs, what makes games maybe more elevated or more involved is that, like you said, there could be, like, other than decentralized or centralized roles, is that there is different aspects of the game that makes it a little bit more complicated or more ways to win, which then I think would be, like, more entertaining than just popping someone in the game and then the game's over. That's it, right?
Well, it can be interesting because as long as the paths to victory, right? If the goal is to kill a player, right? And that's just the one goal, you can make it interesting by having many different ways to kill the player, right? The goal is to get more points, right? But if there was only one way to get a point, it'd be boring. But if there are many ways to get points, then all of a sudden it changes the dynamic exponentially the more variables you add.
You know what? That just makes me think that, like, when eventually the zombie apocalypse happens, I'm going to go over where Luna's living because they seem like tactitional. I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm good. Be like, don't mute. I said I played in a game, bro. I know what I'm doing. No, that's awesome. So, like, aside from the gaming and, you know, I mean, all of us, of course, we'd love to just say that, you know, gaming is something where, you know, you want it to be like your life bane. It's like everything you ever do. But we know, of course, that's not always for, you know, for some of us, of course, we have lives outside of it. What's your kind of like social life outside of gaming? You know, like when you're taking the foot off the gas, per se.
My social life is absolutely atrocious. The VR is my life. However, I do have a bunch of close friends that I do hang out with. Sometimes I hop on VR chat, and, you know, so on and so forth. Just the different social apps, or just hang out and watch movies, whatever the heck. That's pretty much it right now. I'm planning on attending some cons here to hopefully make some new friend groups and actually get that ball rolling. But yeah, no, I've been pretty much a shut-in, so.
To make your life more complicated, you can come interview with me. So there you go.
Exactly. I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a good dog. I think it's, you know, it's worthwhile to have a little bit of one-on-one time with me. You know, I'm just saying that's a personal thought, you know?
Exactly. Just got to throw you a bone here, you know?
Oh, I see what you did there. So, of course, we know we all like to hopefully touch the grass. If not, we touch more virtual grass than we like to admit, obviously. All your friends, are they all gamers themselves? Or are they all shooting FPS? Or are they just, you know, do they also like hang out and just say, hey, let's just play a game, like, you know?
For the most part, we tend to stick to the game simply because of the amount of hours that have to go into it to play good, play well, so on and so forth, right? There's not a lot of time for other games. This is something that I've committed to. I'm spending hundreds and hundreds of hours playing these games and trying to compete and be at the highest level possible.
I get it sometimes too as well. Like I know when we, as a gamer myself, and also being a content creator and stuff, I focus so heavily on all that people are like, well, what do you do in your spare time? I'm like, well, what spare time, right? Obviously. But I don't know if you have the same issue as I do, and a lot of people have that stigma and that conversation around it, and I tell people it's not always true. Because you're always doing those amount of hours and you're really focused, are you that typical, I joke with my friends when you're sitting there and you have like just the plate of Hot Pockets just sitting there and that's your like life bane, and then you just sit there and you just kind of casually eating away. You're like shaking your head at me. No, do you actually
that used to be the case. That used to be the case, but if you want to be at the highest tier possible, to play at the tippy top, if that is your goal, it all starts with your mind and then your body, then your game. Well, if you want your gameplay to be reflected off of your body, then your mind, you have to fix first your mind. Your mind has to be healthy and your body has to be healthy. So you need to actually go outside, touch grass, exercise. You need to go do all of the things that the healthy people do. Otherwise, you're going to come across somebody with thereabouts equivalent skill, but who actually went through that process, and that extra little 1% difference will be the difference between victory and defeat.
That's a really good point. That is a lot. That is something that probably a lot of people don't understand. And even now that I'm thinking about it, it's true that, you know, gaming's, no matter how skilled you are, if you're like tired, lethargic, you have issues like sleepy, you're not getting enough nutrients and stuff, you're not really exercising. How are you going to be able to perform if your mind is not clear and you're not at your best, right? I saw gamers.
Exactly.
I saw gamers like I saw like in some documentaries that they said that when they go like, you know, when they compete like League of Legends and stuff, they actually, when they're at their hotels, or if they actually, you know, they live together in their little like 4 people place, they actually have it where they actually have like a treadmill and they actually required to run or exercise an hour or two a day. It's like a requirement. Now that you mention it, it makes so much more sense now, right?
Yeah, that stuff is no joke. And it's much more pronounced in VR because it's a lot more physical. You're moving your arms. You're having to physically turn rather than just with a mouse and keyboard, which is very limited effort. But when you have to be physically moving everything in game, it's a huge amount of cardio, especially if you need to make a lot of inputs. Because imagine all those little videos of the clips of somebody doing like that 180 flick or whatever the heck on like, I don't know, Apex Legends or whatever the fuck, right? You go there and you see all that stuff happen there. That can happen in VR, except you have to do that now. You have to physically do that to make that happen.
See, this is why Luna is super fit. Like in real life, they're like just like this. They're full six-pack jack because they're so dedicated to the game. They're just like, oh, let's go. No, So what got you starting your journey into gaming? Like, what sparked this journey that brings you to where we are now?
I would say at the very, very beginning, 3 years old, my dad has this computer and I'm introduced to RTS. Before even shooters or anything like that, that just started me on that, I guess, the pipeline, as some people like to call it, that gets me down the whole everything. But started with RTS. It was Rise of Nations. And I enjoyed it, loved it as a kid. And then soon thereafter, about a couple of years later, I was introduced to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I spent 5 years, about 2,000 plus hours, and oh no, not 2,000. I think it was like 1900 at this point. But yeah, about 1,900 hours of just playing that game. From college, I get my own computer, my own laptop, and that's where I'm introduced to, let's see, there's the CSGO, there's the Call of Duty, and I keep playing that, but it's mostly casual. But I still have that competitive drive to keep going and get better and better and better. That competitive drive pushes me forward. It's like, and I eventually caught wind of some championships, some competitive stuff, and I get enthralled by the fact that these guys spent so much time and were able, and there's such a high skill ceiling.
Yeah.
It was that daunting mountain that I want to climb that.
Gotcha. So that was when the defining moment when you were like, you know what? You could kind of do this professionally.
The VR thing, it was simply a drive, a want to, right?
Yeah.
But it only got to that point when I got into VR. So 2019 Index released, and about 6 months later after that, somewhere down July, August, September, somewhere around that time, I get my Index.
Gotcha.
And I saw videos online of Pavlov. I was like, okay, cool. I got tired of people betraying me, and I was bouncing back and forth between Search and Destroy or TTT. It's like, but Search and Destroy had no consequences for trying to be hyper competitive and kill everyone.
Gotcha.
And eventually, I got really, really, really good and got invited to a team called Nonsense. Now, Nonsense is back, long since disbanded. That team disbanded very, very, very early on. What is it? I believe, his name is Corbett. Corbett invited me to that. We tried to make a team. Some other player caused drama, and then that ended up disbanding. And then we created a new team, Jabberwocky. And that was an excellent journey.
I'll jump to that question, and then I'll go back to something, to another question. Are you currently part of a team, or are you solo?
So I'm currently playing in Breachers. Breachers is my one game now.
Okay.
And I play for a team called Dead Stop.
Okay, Dead Stop, okay.
And we get together, we communicate, we get together in Discord, and then from there, it's just simply, you show up and you play. That's it. You show up, you play, you practice, you get better. It's just every single day back at the grindstone. We drill, you improve your tactics, your mechanics, everything that goes into, well, teamwork, of course, but everything that goes into playing good at the game. Because when you're in game, you're practicing game. When you're out of the game, you're preparing yourself. You're making sure your body's prepared for in-game.
If you had a typical training with your team or yourself, what advice would you give, and what does it look like? Like, how would that day look like for Luna?
Training depends completely on what we're trying to work at, because everything we're trying to train, we're trying to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Right? We look at a VOD and say, shoot, you were making this mistake here, there, or that kind of deal, so let's drill out that habit. Let's get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just constant. You start slow, you walk, you crawl, then you walk, then you sprint. I know it sounds simple, but it is absolutely not easy. The amount of time and effort needs to be not only used well, strategically, effectively, but also you need hours to go in it. And of course, talent helps with that a little bit.
So essentially, other than having the talent and skills with the training day, like you said, is that you take time to actually review what you did right or wrong. You kind of like extrapolate, you grow on that and stuff. And that's what a training day essentially likes, is that you actually also have a trained eye too, because you're only as good as what you can actually analyze and do better. And as a team, then stick behind those decisions to make the next skirm better.
That's why. Exactly. That's why VOD review is typically done together. More eyes on one thing, you tend to find more things. So that's why as a group you go together and you VOD review together. And you're like, okay, cool. We VOD review one thing. Of course you want to review your own VOD because if everybody's recording, there's not enough hours in a day to VOD review everything. But you VOD review the important stuff.
See, there you go. So VOD review. Important. Don't skip it. It's like skipping leg day. Don't ever skip leg day. You say it's okay until you have the small legs, and then you look like this. I look really good from the chest up. No, I'm kidding. I have good legs too. Anyway, moving on from that conversation. I love how it just goes. No, so, like, do you have an actual job outside of the competitive gaming? What does your support structure even look like?
I do. I support myself. I have a job. And I work long hours in a week.
Good job.
But because gaming is my passion, that kind of deal, right?
Yes, obviously.
I decided I wanted to put that time and effort into it that other people might not be willing to. Because a lot of people can be really good at a game, or anything really, if they decided to put the time and effort required to do it. However, not everybody is willing to, you know what, I'm not going to go to a party, I'm going to practice. I'm not going to do this, I'm going to practice. I'm going to get better because that's what I want to do, because that's what I enjoy. You need that drive. It's almost required to get to top tier. Sure, you can chill, you can play every now and then and get pretty decent, right? Because the amount of effort to improve increases the closer you get to that perfect margin. Let's say perfect is 100%. To increase by 1% from 0 to 1 takes so much effort, and that's how you get to top tier. You can get to amateur level and like a lower top tier with a decent amount of effort, but the amount of effort required just gets exponentially more if you want to break into top 10, top 5, top 1.
Well, see, I mean, that's an important thing. Like, for people who are passionate, if it be music, if it be like racing, if it be gaming, sacrifice is a natural understanding that people don't realize. You have to sometimes just make choices. Do I want to go to this party? Should I stay up late? Should I eat this and stuff? So it seems like your friends also are also gamers and stuff. So I'm assuming with your support structure, everyone understands your lifestyle and completely is cool with it. Like they get that you have to make those choices, correct?
Well, if it's an issue, it's an issue for them. This is something that I want to do, and I make dead clear. It's like, hey, I've got these responsibilities, just like everybody else. They have their responsibilities, their obligations. I have my responsibilities, my obligations. If you demand that kind of stuff, and you cannot accept anything less than that, what kind of, are you really my friend, right? So I don't let that kind of stuff go anywhere near, right? I'm self-sufficient, so I don't need to rely on anybody else to do any of that. So it's just simply, it's like, hey, cool, I'm doing it this at this time, and it's just a communication game at that point, and then just surrounding yourself with good people.
And now that's totally fair, because if it be a relationship or a friendship, you surround yourself with people that wanted to see you succeed and how that looks, and they want to an understanding, and those are the ones you want to keep close to your chest. If someone can't understand what you're trying to achieve and tries to pull you away from it, then is that really something or someone that you want to be around? Obviously, what I mean, especially when it's something that you're so passionate about, correct?
It's completely context-based, because there's always going to be that exception, that one scenario. It's like, hey, you've got this important thing that you need to do before, and whatever, right? You can always create an exception here and there. But for the most part, if you have something that you're passionate about that you want to do, you need to make sure that you do the steps to do it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Those concepts, that life stuff, translates everywhere, no matter whether it's VR League or anything, really.
But, and that brings up to a really good point, actually. So there's a two-part that I hear a lot often, and this is not just in gaming, this is just in general life situations. Is there any particular struggles involved with being a competitive gamer? And also, have you ever yourself experienced any creative or gamer burnout at all?
I have experienced that burnout before. The way you get past it is you get a good night's sleep. You eat well, you stay healthy. All of those things that I mentioned beforehand, if you fix these two things, mind and body, it will take care of the rest. If you don't exhaust yourself playing the video game all day, every day, nonstop, right? Because there is too much of that. Let me take from study habits, good study habits. Notice how when you study, you want to take 30-minute breaks every couple hours. That comes from your attention, your ability to learn stays at about 100% at the start, right? 100%, and then it becomes becomes an exponential curve down the longer you study. So if you do that 8-hour cram session, you're going to get to 0% real fast at about halfway through. But you reset that attention percentage, if you want to call it that, back to 100 after you take that break. Sleep is where you transfer everything that you learned into a day to your cortex. You need sleep. You cannot let go of sleep.
You heard that?
Otherwise,
sleep.
You will fail.
Sleep.
Yes.
Listen. Sleep.
Yes, you hooligans staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching YouTube on VR chat. Like,
no, I don't do that. Oh my God, I need to sleep more. Actually, no, it's true though too. Like, because we all have had or been guilty of that one time where you're just like, why did I stay up to do that one thing, or why did I get on TikTok, or like after doing all that, and then you realize you slept 4 hours, you're like, oh my God, no, what did I do for the day?
Yeah, your body needs sleep. It's a requirement.
Hey, who would have known eating and sleeping matters? Wow, what a concept. So moving on to just like a different beat of these topics and stuff, because this has just like been like, I appreciate you being here. This has been a really interesting dive in, and I'm learning a lot too, especially about things that you don't always think about. It's not always just about the game itself. It's about, taking care of yourself even outside of the gaming in general. I'd like to talk a little bit more. Now, I know it's different with certain gaming cultures and communities and stuff. They're usually different. How important is community, do you think, in general in the competitive gaming industry, both like within the game itself and maybe growing a community around you, like support wise? Like that could be your, like, if you're streaming and you have like supporters or stuff, anything community based. What would you think? Is it an important thing for what you do? Is it not? Is it secondary, tertiary?
If your goal is content creation and you do all that for content creation, you'll find that all the gamers out there that have been these legends that can deal. Let's take Shroud, for example, right? He's doing content creation right now. Is he anywhere near his peak where he was years ago when he was playing in the, Counter-Strike League, the ESEA, so on and so forth? Was he anywhere near that? Is he anywhere near that? No, he's not, because he's spending that time doing content creation. Priorities, right? Do you want to do content creation? Is that something you want to spend time doing? Or do you want to spend time doing the competitive stuff and make sure that you're number one? Because content creation isn't required to be number one. It's completely negligible whether you do or don't, so long as it doesn't take away from everything else aforementioned. Body, mind, game.
Yeah, gotcha. So you're saying generally when it comes to like community or building and stuff, it just depends also, particularly also what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to like work for.
Yeah.
If it's, and it could be one of the most important things. Secondary, community is important, we can probably agree in general. It's just the level of how much focus on building that community and stuff could just be dependent on the type of gaming you're doing and also what you're trying to accomplish with yourself, right?
Remember, with any, like, you're building the community has nothing to do with your skill. The community has nothing to do with how well you coordinate with your team, how much you practice with them. All it is mind, body, game, your teammates. Well, if you have teammates, depending on the game, right? StarCraft 2 is a solo play. So it's just mind, body, game, right?
Yeah.
Breachers, CSGO, so on and so forth. That's mind, body, game, teammates. Those 4 things. You can play without any of the other extra stuff that you might talk about. You might talk about the community. You might talk about this, that, or the other. But those 4 things are really all you need to do this. You just need to make sure that if you want to do this stuff, nothing else gets in the way.
I would be curious, the biggest question, and I know it really, again, depends on what type of gamer and what type of games you are. What is the culture like? Do you find the culture very positive culture? Is it a very toxic culture? Like, to give you an example, this is from my personal experience. I do not say this for everyone and stuff. When I started playing League of Legends a while back and stuff, I found the culture to be a little bit toxic. Like, if you weren't the best, and sometimes people were so into the game, they would either rage quit or just generally tell you, like, why are you not better? Why are you not spending all these hours? And it kind of took a little bit of the love that I have. Even though I love the game and I love playing with my friends, it just didn't feel, the best at times, to say the least. What is your feeling of culture in the gaming? Is it, and what you do? Is it positive, negative, neutral?
For Breachers and for most other games that don't create a setting to create the other issues like in League of Legends. I'll get to that. But when it comes to those neutral things, it depends on where you look. You're going to have the people that are just amazing to work with and the people that are just terrible to work with that you don't want to do, and you have to filter that. You have to. Now, going to the whole League of Legends thing, the game preys on people's egos with how it's designed, how you see all those stats at the end and everything. It preys on people's egos, so it gets you to want to play more because, oh my gosh, everyone's so bad. I have to keep going. I have to keep going. I have to keep doing it. I have to do so much work for the team. And then all of a sudden, you have the fattest ego on the planet. You can't leave your room without your head scraping against your doors. Yeah, exactly. After you get done with a lobby kicking everybody's butt, right? Then you go into another game and you're getting beat up on. Your first thought is not, I'm bad, but my teammates are bad.
Oh yeah, it's true. That's so true. Oh my god, makes so much sense.
That's mind. Now, if we go to another game like, what was it? Deep Rock Galactic. It does the opposite. Its design is to get people to want to work together and get people to be happy working with each other.
Oh, okay.
It's designed for that. Culture. It's designed around that. There are no useless classes. All the classes are strong, right? It's a co-op game, so it's less. There's no other person on. It's just you guys going together, goofing off, and go maybe get some gold, beat some space bugs or whatever the heck, right? But it's a product of the environment you're in.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like we said, like it all depends what kind of gaming, but that's good to hear that. And now that like the light bulb went off in my head. Now that I heard that, I'm like, God, that makes so much more sense now. And now I don't feel so bad right now. So thank you. I got some resolution out of my life now. I won't start crying in the corner every night now, wondering why didn't I get that one win. So the biggest thing that I'm sure a lot of people are very interested in is always, we love gaming, we love the people, we love the cultures, but I got to feed my family or I got to feed myself. I moved into a new place like you did, you got to pay for stuff. Financially, how do you view the competitive gaming industry wise as a whole? Anything you would change? I know you're going to talk about it. I know yours is a different situation, and which I would like you to also touch on with this question as well, on what it's like for you particularly as well in your type of gaming, since I know it's not a full thing yet. So
PC gaming is big, right? You've got millions and millions of dollars in that stuff. You've got millions of viewers, so on and so forth. So that the numbers are there to make that feasible, right? You can get into content creation. I'm going to take from Shroud and a lot of the other gamers out there. You can take into content creation, or you can play super competitively at the high level. You can get plenty of money to be able to support yourself that way. But when it comes to VR esports, it's not there yet. It's in its infancy right now. Right now, it's mostly simply for passion rather than for money.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you're not gonna have those teams like, for example, in Valorant, it's not just the team of 5 that go into it, but you're not gonna have all of the statisticians behind you. You're not gonna have all the coaches and everything that goes into that, into creating the perfect strategy, so on and so forth, for the team to practice. Because at the end of the day, the fire players that go in, all they should have to focus on is execution and mechanics of what they've practiced, and then comms. That's it. Let somebody else with a whole lot more brains, maybe not quite the mechanics, but who has spent the time to develop up here, figure that shit out for you, and then all of a sudden, it's that. But the money isn't there yet for VR esports. One day, a couple of years from now perhaps, but not yet.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, I believe it too, that as we get more accessibility, as we're seeing more and more options, more and more headsets, more and more availability, the people like yourself that set the foundational groundwork and stuff, we'll probably see that happen. But and I really hope so, because for what all you do and all the work that you all put into, I would love to see that, where you actually get to see that monetization and be able to like do it more professionally. So that's a good point for everybody who's thinking about doing competitive gaming. Depending on what game you are doing, you might just have to pull the grind, as Luna says, until you are at that point where then the money is also there to put into it. I actually have read articles, which I didn't know about. I don't know if you heard about it, that in certain games, there has been setups where they call it the varsity route. I don't know if you've heard of that. where they actually let people go to college and they actually let them be, as part of their training, they actually go to also these schools and stuff that train them to be professional gamers. It's like apparently you can get scholarships and stuff. I didn't know that was even a thing. Not in like VR particularly, but I was like, wow, it's getting to that level where now you can go to school and be like
PC.
Is that crazy though? It's wild that you could do that. I didn't know that was a thing. I was like, man, where was I?
That all started in South Korea. South Korea. They have their culture is around that. Or there's a lot of culture in South Korea around all of that.
Was that with
around the competitive gaming?
What game was that? What game was that? There was a big game.
StarCraft.
StarCraft.
Dota,
That's right, StarCraft. I was thinking of it.
2.
I was thinking of it in my head. I'm like, come on, Star something, StarCraft.
And,
there we go.
Yeah, when you see that stuff flourishing over there, businesses over here are going to think, oh, this is something that can happen. And then all of a sudden it happens, right? It's hard to get something started, but once it's started, it's easy for everybody else to follow behind you.
Yep. Someone has to lay down the foundation work, obviously. What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into competitive gaming, also maybe with the aspirations of becoming professional?
Those 4 points that I kept going. Fix your mind, fix your body, fix your game. And then team if applicable, right? The 3 things first before you even think about team. But you fix those 3 things, it will come. And then from there, it's just biding your time, getting better and better. People will notice. People will notice you whooping butt in the lobbies, dropping 20, 30 bombs in games, and they're like, oh shoot, this kid can kick my butt. Every day of the week. Not just a couple days, the entire week. And people are gonna be like, oh shoot, are you in a team? When people start asking that question, you know you're going down the right path.
I feel like this is that whole conversation. You hear things where there's like, it's when they say it's a state of mind, they ain't kidding. they mean no, it's a state of mind. No, it's true. Like anything, I agree. Like it always starts with yourself. I love I'm gonna how to quote this live, but I'm gonna quote my mom on this because my mom does sometimes have really great things to say. But sometimes the hardest thing to do in anything in life is not getting to the ledge, it's jumping off of it. You know what I mean? Like actually taking that first big step, that big leap forward.
Absolutely.
Until you make that, everything, it's like they say in even content creation, the hardest video you will ever make in your career is the very first video. And it's true. I spent months and months saying, why am I doing this? I'm not good enough, or this and that. And then I tell my mind, it's like,
you can taste the failure.
That's defeatism. Yeah, you make it happen. Manifest what you want, and then it becomes a reality.
And it's repetition. You don't have to get it you don't have to get it perfect the first time. The goal is to get it perfect the last time.
I just wanted to say that it has been an absolute pleasure getting to chat with you, and I thank you for giving me your time. I know, like I said, you're very, very, very busy, apparently. So, I mean, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Luna. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for spending the time to not only talk to me, but give some insight for anybody who might be interested in competitive gaming, pro gaming, let alone also into the type of style FPS shooting gaming that you're doing in VR. I loved having you on it. I've been very appreciated.
Absolutely. I appreciate working with you as well.
And that's the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. So, what do you think about competitive gaming? Would you like to see more videos on this topic? Please let me know in the comments. And as always, if you'd like to see more videos from this doggo, please like, follow, subscribe because it really helps me out. Till next time, stay awesome.